All right, I took the nitrous kit off the car, as you can see, and I traded it from a TSP 80-pound injectors. Yes. I got all the injectors changed out, and even though those other ones I had, they were eBay Deka injectors, they didn't fit as good as these, because those eBay ones, they would come up so far, I had a hard time getting the plug in. These weren't like that. They don't come up that high. I don't know. But anyway, now that we got those injectors on there, I got to wire loom this and zip tie a few things back that I had to unzip tie. But anyway, since we got the injector on there, now we got to do some tune adjustments.
Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out the pound of our injectors. Now, these are 80-pound injectors. They're rated at 80 pounds at 43.5. I'm running 50 pressure. And the way that you do this is you start the car, you unhook the vacuum line from the fuel pressure regulator. You start the car, then you set the fuel pressure, and that's the number you want to use right here. Once you got the fuel pressure set where you need it to be, then you plug the vacuum back up and you're done. But mine was at 50, so we have 85-pound injectors. And when you hook the vacuum line up, it drops. It drops the fuel pressure. And then when you go wide open throttle, it raises it because you got no vacuum. And then once you get into boost, it raises it 1-to-1, 1 fuel pressure for every pound of boost. But so ours are at 85 pounds. So what I did was I took a stock tune, and you can click and drag this, or you can just click in this box and it'll highlight it and copy it. And then I went over to my tune right here, and it's in fuel, general, flow rate versus KPA, and then I pasted that. And what I did was I went 1.05 until I got close, and then I just multiplied that, and I'm looking for this number to read 85. Around 85. And it's, I'll go 0.99, and that'll lower it. There we go, 84.8. Let's go with that. So that's what I did for that. Most of this I got from a spreadsheet online, but this is always 1.0. Also, some of this, Austin has the same injectors. His is 902. What I couldn't find online, I just used his information, but this is the information I used. And you can pause the screen if you need to look at it. That I got offline, and one of these other ones I got offline. And then there's that, and then this. That's a long one. And then that, and then that, and then that. And that's what we're going to roll with. Oh, also, we did our calculations in pound per hour, so make sure right here you're set to pound per hour when you do this flow rate versus KPA table. This flow rate versus KPA table.
All right, tune adjustments are done. Let's load this tune up, start it up, and make sure we ain't got no leaks. All right, tune finished loading. Something I'm curious about. The AFR was around 14.7 to 15.5 with the other tune. Wonder what it is now. Looks way too fat now. focus on the tune, getting the AFR back right. I know y'all can't see because of the glare. I can barely see. I hate tuning like this because I've almost made mistakes. Accidentally hitting the plus button instead of the equals button. Let's see. I'm going to go 0.85, highlighted the whole table. And then we're going to multiply that, and that'll take out 15% fuel. And then we're going to see what that does. Alright, that brought it back up. That brought it to about where we wanted it. But at idle, I like to be in the lower 15s with a cam. So I'm going to take 5% more out of it. Alright, there we go. I multiplied the table by 0.95. My thinking is if I get the idle back where it was, then everything else will fall back where it was before. That's my thinking anyway. But we'll see how that goes. There we go. That's where I like it. When we rev it up. That's about where it should be at idle. That was pretty easy. So let's ride and see what it does now. I'm just gonna drive it around a little and get some heat on it. When we get on it, we'll turn the GoPro on.
So I thought I had hit something, but the vibration from the turbo at the V-band to the exhaust is vibrating loose, or vibrating, it's not vibrating it loose, but it's vibrating enough the exhaust pivots down. When it does that, it hits my wastegate and either burns a hole in the line or breaks it off, and that's why it shot up to 7 pounds of boost and had balls that time. So just because we have a 7-pound spring in there doesn't mean that we're going to get 7 pounds of boost when you're running off just wastegate. It just depends on the setup. And this setup right here, it's only going to make 4 to 5 pounds through the wastegate on boost pressure going to the bottom port on the wastegate. But now my exhaust flew back because that V-band I mentioned earlier, it knocked the line off of one of the wastegates. So it went up to 7 pounds, which is a good sign because I do have a manual boost controller ordered. With that math, it should be able to go up to 10 or 11 pounds with the boost controller. But anyway, we're still having a problem here. You'll see right here, yeah, 150 on the map up here. But now look, our injector duty cycle, it's still going up. And now instead of maxing out at 4 or 5 pounds of boost like it was before, it's not maxing out. Once you get over 20, 21, that's not good. Actually, you don't want to get over 20. But anyway, and we were at 4 or 5 pounds of boost right there. 136, that's about 4 or 5 pounds of boost right in between there. So the 60-pound injectors, they were maxing out here, but the 80-pound injectors, they're not maxing out till after here. So anyway, those 60-pound injectors should have went higher, and the 80-pound injectors should have went higher. So we have a fueling problem somewhere. So that's the next thing to find. And unfortunately, I don't have an easy way to hook up a fuel pressure gauge. I got a fuel pressure gauge with a line long enough to run it from the fuel pressure from the fuel system up to the hood, so I can I usually tape it to the window. But that's back when I had a Schrader valve. I have that aftermarket fuel rail and stuff like that, so I don't have that no more. So I need to figure out a way to do this. I think I can go to the parts store and get an 1/8" NPT to a 4AN, and then I can just unscrew the fuel pressure gauge that's on the regulator, and then just run a 4AN line to my fuel pressure gauge, and then run it up to the window. But I'm going to check a few things first, since I don't have that right now. I'm going to go out there and check a few things first and see if it's the regulator or maybe even the fuel filter. And also I'm going to put pressure on the feed line and see if it's even holding pressure, make sure there's not a leak in the tank. But we're going to have to figure out why it's doing this, because 80-pound injectors at 50 psi should be able to, 50 psi fuel pressure should be able to do 14 pounds of boost from my calculations. But see if we can't figure this out.
Alright, trying to figure out this fueling issue. So with the vacuum line unhooked, we're at about 45 psi. The car running, and then when I blow pressure in there, it raises. Using that right there. And then I hooked the pressure tester up to this line and pressurized it. That's the feed line. And it didn't leak any. So I don't know. My pump must be going bad. I don't know. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to try is a fuel filter. Just because I usually change the fuel filter every year after winter, I didn't do it this year. So, and the reason for that is I use a stock filter on E85. I know you're not supposed to do that, but it's worked for me for 4 years, so I just change it every year. And I haven't done that this year, and that might be the issue, because this one's the one I took off. I can blow through that one, but there's a restriction. I don't feel much of a difference. Except for when I blow through this one, it does build a little pressure and spits it back at me. Yeah, there is a difference. It ain't much. I'm going to show you guys me blowing through those. There is a restriction. It ain't much. I don't think that's the problem. I mean, the only other thing it could be is the pump itself. That pump is, I don't know, 3 years old maybe. Might be older than that. I lose track of time. But I'm going to put that on there and see if the fuel pressure increases any at idle. Because if there's a restriction, it will increase at idle. But we'll see. Oh, side note, look what come in the mail. Turbo Smart Manual Boost Controller. Woot woot. Now we can adjust the boost. I had to put that on. I tell you what, I accidentally, when the exhaust went back and knocked that off of the driver's side wastegate, it went up to 7 pounds, and it had a lot of power. I mean, a lot of power. It felt really good. It felt way better than it did on 150 shot, that's for sure. Way better. Alright, so I had that set. I had it set at 50 initially. Then when I started having those problems, I changed it to 60. It's in 20 increments, so 60 is there. Let's start it up and see if the fuel pressure goes up. Now that don't necessarily mean if it don't go up, it could still be the filter, but I want to see if it does, because if it does, that means it was the filter for sure. Well, it did go up a little bit. Still not sure if it's the filter or not, but I'm gonna put the pressure back to 50 and then put the tune back to the where it should be for 50 psi fuel pressure and see what it does. Well, that wound up being the same exact result. It still doing the same exact thing. So I mean, there's possibly a leak in the tank, but I pressurized the feed line and it held pressure. So maybe the pump's just going out. It's I don't know, it's got 3 or 4 years on it, I think. But I don't know. Whatever y'all think. Bad Luck Garage, he's been trying to help me out. Needed to hook a fuel pressure gauge up to it, definitely, but I don't really have an easy way to hook it up with that aftermarket rail. The fuel pressure gauge, I do got one, but there's really no need in doing that now because there is no question about it. It's losing pressure somehow, somewhere, for some reason. I just got to figure out why. But if you guys have any input, hit the comments, like and subscribe. I'll get it figured out. I come out here every day and pull with it until I do. I get annoyed. It bothers me. I got to figure it out. And I just keep going until I figure it out. But yeah, y'all have a good day.